The Crew 2 has had a fantastic first year. Look, I'm gonna be open and honest here. I wouldn't say fantastic is the correct word for this. It's had a good year. Don't get me wrong, it's had a decent year. But realistically, it's not been a fantastic first year. Since its launch in June 2018, we've rolled out 3 major updates, including brand new disciplines, events, and game features. This is where we're gonna split off like that Fast and Furious music video. The problem is, 3 major updates is... the wording's interesting. So, realistically, they have done 3 major updates. Now, when we go into other games being Forza Horizon 4 and Need for Speed Payback would probably be the other example, or 2015, whatever you want. Those are the 2 major comparisons to make. The amount of updates that Forza has had is significantly more than that of the Crew 2. Need for Speed Payback, I believe, had about the same amount, if that makes sense, or 3 or 4 maybe updates per se. But if we look back to the updates and what these updates have added to each individual game, I'm going to come out and say that yes, the Crew 2 had the most significant updates, the best updates overall this year. I know. Shush, listen to my point here. The first update they released, a little bit shaky, but then they got onto the track that they realized this is not what people want. What people want is major content updates. They added the summit, they added PvP. Those are the 2 significant updates they added. Don't forget Demo Derby, you moron. To add something like that requires massive resources, and considering the fact that it wasn't already there at launch. Now, granted, they could have already started developing it, but that's extra time that they're not getting paid for per se. In terms of the other 2 games, they really only added content that was already kind of there. The only significant update from Need for Speed Payback, from what I remember, is literally to add in free roam multiplayer that should have been there from launch. PvP I don't care so much about, but free roam should be there. That was copy, paste the lobbying system of how it already is, but made it so it doesn't kickstart an event. It's not a huge thing for them to do. It took them bloody long enough. And then Forza's most significant update was probably the weekly playlist 2, which is very similar to that of the Crew 2's system in terms of the live summit. But other than that, Forza hasn't really added any new significant updates. There have been rehashed stories, which, if you didn't know, they were basically the same idea as the original stories in the game already. But that's about where my positive comments kind of come to a close. We're done now. The updates were decent. There was a decent amount of them. In terms of the quality of those updates, significantly above most of the other competition. And the season pass, how they did that, I actually kind of really like that system. So if it didn't actually follow, they made it so that if you bought the season pass, you got the car a week early and for free, as in you got it in the game just like that. And if you waited and didn't get the season pass, you get it a week later and you would have to buy it with in-game money. Now, that's great. I would have personally, I know it's a small tidbit here, but I like buying my cars. I would have not got the season pass if I knew that was a thing, or if I wasn't a YouTuber, for example, I wouldn't have got the season pass. I would just have waited the week, but because I'm a YouTuber, kind of had to get it. Through patching, we also fixed bugs and exploits, ran various balancing iterations, and tweaked gameplay features, big and small. Granted again, Ivory Tower, as in the Crew 1, is the only company that changes the handling model as per community request. Now, this game, they've done less about it. They have fixed one major thing, which was when the cars would swivel a lot at high speeds. But again, the handling was broken. 2015's handling was broken. There was major issues with it. And Payback's wasn't perfect either. And Forza's, I'm going to say, is decent, but it's not my style, and there's nothing wrong with it per se, but in terms of the games overall, I know for a fact that Forza would never do changes to fix their handling unless it was an issue with the track, because their physics system is absolutely perfect and blah, 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 blah. They actually went in, the only company to go in and change the physics and update them, and they're still testing or beta testing the other physics. So I imagine that's going to come into play at some point for free. Of course, no updates would have been possible without the support, blah, blah, blah. This is the important part. Today, We're hard at work on the future of the Crew 2 with as much passion and dedication as ever. In this light, and to focus our efforts as efficiently as possible, we would like to inform you that we will not be releasing any major content updates in the coming months. Rest assured that this does not apply to the usual activity of the game. You can expect to be continued, live summits, bug fixes, yada, a load of other stuff, community challenges, which are photo contests on Twitter. And okay, so to summarize what they have stated here, the Crew 2 is finished, is in its end game state as of right now. And I wanted to make a video basically speculating where I think this is going, what I think this means, because we were talking about the expansion not too long ago. Where the heck is the expansion? You would have thought that it would have been announced at E3, if not Gamescom, and we've still heard not a peep. Now, they say the updates are basically stopping for the next few months. Honestly, they've not had any update whatsoever for the last, it feels like 5 months, I say 4 months now, to be honest, but yeah, about 4 months they've still not actually added a content update, and the idea was to have a major content update every 3 months. I worked out roughly when the live summits are supposed to end, so they've added them back, and they're going to refresh and re-go again. It appears around November time is when their summits are going to rehash and start again. We're not going to talk about how that makes me feel, because we already know that I'm kind of annoyed that this is going to be the case. I've already mentioned in the past that it's kind of annoying that they're going to actually repeat summits. In fact, I didn't get this week's car. I didn't. And do you know why? Because I got to a point and it was very difficult, and I was like, you know what? It doesn't even matter, because number one, it's a rehashed car, and number two, I'm going to get the chance to get it again in probably a couple of months' time. But the summit is all we have up until about November time. There may be a major content update, but I'm going to go as far to say I'm not massively expecting there to be one in November time. I think the possibility of an expansion coming, an update coming to the game is probably going to be around the release date of the game, which I think was the first few months of the year. I think that is when the next major update is going to come, and that feels like a little bit too late. I'm going to be honest with you. I may be completely wrong here. November would be fine. November would make sense. November would be the perfect time to release an expansion. But if they stopped and thought, yes, that's it, no more updates until March, that's really scary. Really scary. Realistically, we're all going to be on Need for Speed Heat and playing that until the next updates come out for our other games. But realistically, it's a long time to wait. It's a scary amount of time to wait, and I don't think they would actually do that. So if we do get an update in November, I think they will do something decent size. I think the overall plan, okay, this is where I'm going to speak about overall plan. We're in a weird transition right now in gaming in general, and the reason we're in that weird transition is because we've got next generation coming. Next generation is round the corner, okay? And the announcement of next generation is probably going to be, if rumors are correct, around March time. February, March. The consoles are going to be confirmed and solidified, and then the holiday of 2020 is when we're going to get the new consoles. Now, basically every game coming out now, you can imagine and you can expect they will release those games again on the next-gen console at launch, or the launch window, and give you all the DLC and give you higher rated textures and performance and all this stuff on the console. I know for a fact that's going to happen, because it just does. It always does. My expectation is that there won't be a Crew 3 at the launch of the next generation consoles, and instead, to gap that transition even more so, they're going to release, if maybe not the first expansion, maybe the second expansion for the Crew 2 around that time, and it will be called the Crew 2 Sweat Wash. We'll do that again. That will include all the DLC and all the updates and everything on one bundled copy, and you'll be able to upgrade your save game and all this yada yada yada, and that is where the major expansion will probably be, if not expansion 2 we shall call it. So it's a bit of a all over the place. I'm kind of not solidified in this idea, but I think surely we must get an update in November. If we don't, I think honestly this is the end of the Crew 2 until the end of maybe next year. So by a few months they mean a year. Okay, let me know your thoughts down below. Is this going to stop you playing The Crew 2 as much? For me, it is, which is unfortunate, but I played the game a lot. I can't be mad at it. I'm not going to insult a game company like I used to as a crybaby man-child. I very much appreciate all the updates they gave us without charging us, and the microtransactions are very, very fair. Like, I never bought any of them. The game has been a good amount of fun to me. I enjoyed the experience with it. I might try hit a summit here and there, but I think we're pretty much winding down now, and hopefully, as I said, we'll get that November update, which will spurge something into the game a little bit. But that's just kind of on a whim right now. It's not being confirmed. But I'm looking forward to getting back into it when the expansion comes around, because, you know, I'll go hard on it again. All right. Let me know your thoughts. It's kind of a sad day. Kind of a exciting for the future day. The Crew 2 is over, I guess. All right. Be sure to smash like, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you in the next video. Until next time, peace.